Okay, so on April 1st, I released a video on how to make jazz music, and the reception was pretty good, so I thought I would make a part 2 to it. So this is a jazz tutorial for anybody that would like to learn how to make jazz. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay down a pattern. I'm going to make it 16 bars long, just because that's what I like to do. And the first thing you want to do when starting a new project is pick a BPM. So jazz tends to, it tends to be a little bit on the faster side, so oftentimes it's in the this range, somewhere in there. So we're going to set our BPM to that, and then we're going to start to pick some instruments. So jazz typically has stuff like pianos, brass, it has some strings, some other stuff like that. So we're going to pick a sound that kind of fits with jazz. Okay, so for jazz, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a key, and to do that, we're going to turn off our key grid so that there is no key. And we're going to begin, because jazz doesn't really have a real key, let's be honest. They just kind of go between keys in a way that sounds nice, so we're going to try and do the same thing. So let's try and lay down a melody for our jazz melody. So to make any good jazz melody, you're going to want to start with your root notes. So to find your root notes, we're going to just kind of lay down a melody, and then we're going to use those notes as our root notes. So let's just kind of lay some of these down. Okay, so that's going to be our repeated bass line, if you want to call it that. It's not really a bass, but you get the idea. And then what we want to do for any jazz melody is we want to start filling out the chords. So to do that, we're going to just place down some notes that are, pretty good with these notes. These aren't quite chords, these are just two notes playing at the same time. So let's add a third note to each of these, just to make sure that these are chords that are filled all the way out as much as we can. And then we're going to want to copy and paste that over, and let's go ahead and give it a listen. Perfect. Sounds great. Sounds amazing. It sounds just like jazz. The only issue so far is we don't have any variation. It's the exact same every time. So let's take this second half and let's change some of the notes. So let's move these up 2 or 3 semitones, and let's take these and let's move them down 3 semitones. And the reason we're moving those down 3 semitones is because it's jazz. So let's give it another listen. Sounds perfect. Sounds good to me. Okay, so we have our main melody, but we want to add a little bit of flavor to this melody because it's pretty bland as it is. So we're going to take the middle note of each of these chords, we're going to copy them, and then we're going to pitch them up and down an octave, just to kind of give everything a little bit more flavor. So let's give that a listen. It's great. It sounds amazing. Okay, it's perfect. It's exactly what we're looking for. It sounds like jazz. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to add a counter melody. So let's pick another sound that's commonly used in jazz. Sounds just like a sound that they use in jazz all the time. So since we have all these notes in the middle here, we're going to take our new sound and we're going to pitch it up really high. And instead of like copying all the same notes, that might be too high. It kind of hurts my ears. We don't want it to hurt our ears too much. So instead of filling out the space like we did with these original chords, I'm just going to kind of put these on the downbeats. We'll copy them over, and then we'll pitch them up 3 semitones because it's jazz. Sounds great. But the only issue is we don't have any variation. It's the same thing over and over again. So let's take some of these notes and let's pitch them up 4 semitones because it's jazz. Perfect. Sounds great. Okay, so let's keep filling out this counter melody because it feels a little bit bare. So let's copy these notes and let's pitch them down 3 semitones because it's jazz. So let's listen to that. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to copy those same notes, move them over to the next spot, and then we're going to pitch them down 3 semitones because it's jazz. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so to really make sure that this is filled out, we're going to copy all these notes, pitch them down an octave. Okay, and then we're going to take the bottom part of these notes and we're just going to move them up 4 semitones because it's jazz. Okay, so let's play. Sounds great. Sounds amazing. Let's add another counter melody because I feel like we could make this sound a little bit more full. We could add a little bit more to this. So let's find a sound that's used in jazz. Oh, unironically, that's a cool sound. I might use that for something real. Oh, it's under pads. So grind your wave under pads. That's actually a cool sound. I'm gonna come back and use that. What do the choir sound like? Okay, so I found a choir. Let's lay down another counter melody just to kind of fill things out and make sure it sounds really good. So to get the notes from my choir, I want to just play some below these other notes that I see for the other instrument because that's how jazz works. You just put things above and under and it just works out. It sounds really good. So let's finish putting these down and we'll see what it sounds like. That sounds really great. Let's take all of these and let's pitch them down a couple of octaves just to fill off that lower frequency range. This is sounding really good. This is sounding really, really great. It sounds like dog shit. It sounds so bad. Oh god. Okay, so I think we have our melody. I think we have our melody pretty much done. Let's give it a listen really quick. Yeah, that sounds great so far. Let's put all these on the mixer channel and let's make sure that we're not getting too loud. So let's turn these down a little bit. Yeah, that's sounding really, really good. Okay, so now we're going to start adding drum sounds. So with jazz in the drums, you really want to add things and sounds that are not typical for other types of beats or melodies or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to find some sounds that aren't typically used for kicks, claps, and that sort of thing, and we're going to use those. So let's find a sound that isn't usually used as a kick. I found a sound, and I think we can use this as our jazz kick. Because again, jazz doesn't usually use typical sounds as their kicks and drum sounds and that sort of thing. So this is going to be our kick. Perfect. Okay. So one thing with any kick is you want to make sure you turn the shift knob up just slightly, just to give it a little bit of swing. And then we're going to put these on all of the downbeats. So here, here, here. Yeah, just like that. So let's copy and paste. Yeah, it's sounding really good. That sounds like a really good jazz kick. So let's put that on the mixer channel. And any kick is typically put in mono. So because this is jazz, we're going to put this in the separated field. That's sounding really good. Okay, so we need a clap now. We need like a clap or a snare. So again, with the drum sounds, we want to pick something that's not usually used as a clap or a snare. So here's the sound I found that I'm going to use for my clap or my snare. Okay, so every clap or snare in jazz is always on the 2 and the 4. Don't look it up. So they're all going to go here. And then we're going to copy and paste this over, just like we did with the kick that we used. Let's hear what this sounds like. Okay, so we have a kick, we have a clap. Now we need some hi-hats. Now hi-hats in jazz are typically pretty tame, but again, we want to do things a little bit differently, so let's find something that isn't usually used as a hi-hat in jazz. Okay, so I found a sound that I think will work really well for a jazz hi-hat. Turn that up a little bit. Okay. So let's go ahead and put down our hi-hat pattern. Typically we want a 4-step pattern for jazz. Don't look it up. Okay, that sounds really good. Sounds really nice. I do want to slow down this hat pattern a little bit, so let's take some of these out. And we'll copy and paste that pattern all the way across. Okay, so I think we're about done for the purposes of this video. If you have any questions about how we made this, this pretty solid jazz beat, feel free to throw it down in the comments. Or if you have any suggestions for videos you want to see in the future, feel free to throw that down in the comments as well. But yeah, let's listen back to our masterpiece.